I have watched Jack Abbott get himself into trouble for more years than I'm going to admit to on camera. But watching him bleed out on the floor of that mansion a few days ago, that one got to me. And then July 13th rolls around, and the Abbott women are pouring wine in that very same house, laughing, taking a group selfie like nothing ever happened. Somebody even thanks the cleaning crew for scrubbing the place down. I laughed. Then I got a little misty, because for the first time in ages, I sat there and thought, oh, there you are. There's the show I fell in love with. Let me walk you through it. Let me set the table for you, because the ending only hits if you remember how ugly it got. Patty Williams stabbed Jack. She went after Diane, too. For weeks now, I've been white-knuckling my way through this storyline, and finally, Patty's been taken down. She's locked up. Jack and Diane made it. They found their way back to each other, and this whole family can breathe again. But Kyle can't let it go. He's got it in his head that Patty never could have pulled all this off by herself, that somebody with deep pockets was bankrolling her. And in Kyle's mind, that somebody is Victor Newman. Now, I'll be honest with you. The boy doesn't have proof. It's a hunch. A furious, grieving hunch. And there's still that doctor who held Diane captive, floating around out there, completely unaccounted for. So by the time I got to July 13th, the whole thing had turned into something quieter for me. A story about grief. Who's mourning? Who's celebrating? Who wants blood? And the writers spread all three across 3 different rooms. Let's start in the Abbott mansion, because that's where I lost it a little. The heart of this whole hour belongs to a man who's been gone for years. John Abbott. He never shows up in the present. He lives in everyone's memory instead. Tracy remembers her daddy comforting her after her first baby, back when she was terrified her husband was slipping away from her. Ashley remembers him standing beside her through her second cancer scare. And over in his hospital bed, Jack, shaking off nightmares about the stabbing, remembers how he made his father proud by clawing the company back. If you grew up on this show the way I did, my mother had it on every single afternoon. Those memories land like a hand on your shoulder, and they tell you what July 13th was really reaching for. One word, home. Diane even says it out loud. She's sitting in that mansion, welcomed right back in, and she quietly admits she's not sure she's earned the right to feel at home there. Family, legacy, people just being human with one another. That's what pulled me in all those decades ago, and I've missed it more than I let myself realize. And here's the part that made me grin, because the show knows exactly how soapy it's being. Tracy actually thanks the cleaning crew for wiping away every last trace of Patty. Ashley says the house feels cursed and wants to pack up and move. Then she decides they should line the windowsills with salt to keep the evil out. Spooky and cozy all at once. And somewhere in the middle of it, they make Lauren an honorary Abbott over a tray of snacks. I loved every second of it. Now come with me over to Society, because the scene that caught me off guard is happening at that bar. Billy and Kyle sit down together, and honestly, I don't think either one of them saw this conversation coming. Kyle starts reliving the worst days of his life, finding his father bleeding out, then scooping his own mother up into his arms, certain he was about to lose her too. And Billy, who I have wanted to reach through the screen and smack more times than I can count, finally softens. He admits that when Kyle was born, he felt pushed aside, that Jack turned all his attention to the new baby, and it left a mark that never really healed. He owns up to years of fighting with his brother, and he tells Kyle he sees himself in him now, which, coming from Billy, is about as tender as that man gets. Then Kyle lays it on him. He wants revenge on Victor, and he wants Billy in on it, his inside man, spilling every trick Billy ever tried against the old goat. And Billy turns him down. He calls it a siren song that'll leave them both wrecked on the rocks. He compares Victor to Moby Dick, that white whale that dragged its hunter straight to the bottom of the sea. I said, "Good for you, Billy," right out loud at my television. And the reason he gives is so gentle. He's got a baby on the way, and he won't gamble on that. He tells Kyle that a few months back, he'd have signed on without blinking. These days, he just can't. So Kyle takes it on alone. He hasn't even got a plan yet, and he says so. But he makes himself a promise. He is not going to fail. And I felt that whole Jack versus Victor war settle onto younger shoulders right there in the bar. Here's what I couldn't stop noticing, though. Victor Newman is not in one single scene on July 13th. not one. And still, he's all anybody talks about. Kyle's fury is about Victor. Billy's warning is about Victor. Billy even confesses that the reasons he and Victoria fell apart mostly trace right back to her father. The man is nowhere on my screen, and this whole town cannot stop saying his name. And this is the thing I've been griping about to my sister on the phone for years now. The show has slowly turned into the Victor Newman show. Everybody orbits him. Every storyline bends back toward him. And no matter how cruel he gets, he always ends up on top. It wears on you after a while. I think the writers hear us. Billy's Moby Dick speech felt to me like the show admitting, right out in the open, that Victor is the obsession that ruins whoever chases him, which is exactly why watching Kyle set his jaw and march toward him gave me a genuine chill. And then, at the hospital, the episode slips in one more thread. Abby, Jack's niece and Victor's own daughter, comes to sit with her uncle. She quietly tells him that Devon's going through a rough patch. She holds herself together for Jack's sake. Then she walks out of that room with tears standing in her eyes. Now, I've already seen fans online whispering that this is the beginning of the end for Abby and Devon. I'll be upfront with you. That's us guessing. Nothing's been confirmed. But this show plants its seeds exactly like this. A little tremble in the voice, a tear at the door, and you spend the next month wondering. So let me tell you what I think July 13th was really doing. On the surface, it wraps up gentle and sweet. Abby pulls all the women together, Ashley, Tracy, Lauren, Diane, and snaps a group selfie so Jack can see them all in one frame, celebrating that he pulled through. And across town, in his hospital bed, Jack's phone lights up. He looks at that photo, and he smiles. That's the very last thing you see, a family picture. And it got to me because I know exactly what that little photo is carrying. After a whole summer of kidnappings and a stabbing and yet another dusted-off villain, the show set that image down in front of us and said, this family holds. This home holds. They hold each other up. That's the whole message tucked inside a phone screen. Underneath all that warmth, one real story is now up and running. Kyle's going after Victor by himself. No plan, just a promise that he won't fail. And Billy has stepped back, choosing the baby he's got coming over a war he used to live for. I felt that torch pass from one generation to the next, quietly, without a soul announcing it. The loose ends are still hanging there on purpose. That doctor who held Diane captive is out there somewhere. And nobody has told Abby that her own father might be wrapped up in the thing that nearly killed her uncle. But here's the honest truth of how it left me. For one afternoon, Genoa City felt like home again, and I hadn't realized how badly I'd been missing that. No shocking twist required. On July 13th, the show finally remembered its own heart, and I sat there quietly praying, please, let this one last. So that's July 13th, at least the way I saw it. It played like a quiet love letter to every one of us who stuck with this family for decades, dressed up as a simple group photo. Now I want to hear from you, because this is the part that's going to keep me up at night. Kyle is going after Victor completely on his own. No plan, running on pure grief and anger. Do you think that boy actually has a shot where everybody before him has crashed and burned? Or is Victor that white whale who pulls him right under too? Tell me straight down in the comments. Kyle takes him down, or Victor wins again. I read every single one, I promise you. And if you want me to sit down and break the next episode apart with you the day it airs, you know exactly where that subscribe button is.